Welcome everybody to TechCraft, this is Rob, and in today's video I'll be reviewing the Inateck iPad Pro keyboard case. Let's go. Thanks so much to Inateck for sending me this case so that I could review it. They did send me the case for free, but they haven't paid for this video at all, and they haven't had any input whatsoever into what I'm about to say. Let's dive straight in. So let's start by getting pricing out of the way. The 11-inch keyboard is £59.99 in the UK and $59.99 in the US. And the 12.9-inch version is £69.99 in the UK and $69.99 in the US. Let's have a see what you get for your money. So onto the keyboard itself, the obvious standout feature is the RGB lighting under the keyboard. This is one of those things that you either couldn't care less about or that you will find quite cool. I'll definitely admit to spending way more time than is acceptable just playing around with the various different color configurations and cycle configurations of this lighting. You control the lighting using the function key and then the A, S, D, and F keys. A, S, and D control the color on the left, middle, and right of the keyboard respectively, and then you can use the F key to control the cycling behavior. Maybe you want the colors to be static, or maybe you want them to pulse through the different range. There's a light bulb button down here at the bottom of the keyboard where you can control the brightness of the lighting, and you can actually turn it off if the lighting is not your thing. As for the typing experience itself, it's great. This is probably the best typing experience that I have had on the iPad Pro with a mobile keyboard case type device. A lot of thought has really gone into making this a great experience for typing on. The key travel is very satisfying and there's a really nice sound to each key press. I've not encountered any missed key presses while using this, and if you've used a lot of different iPad keyboards, you'll see that a few of the devices do suffer from this. However, when power gets low, you will encounter missed presses, but you just need to charge up to get around that. I find that this little cutout here near the space key really leads to a very comfortable rest position for your wrists, especially when combined with this little wrist rest at the bottom here, which is kind of also part of the flap that covers the iPad screen. So with that, let's actually move on to talk about the case itself. So this follows the fairly standard format of a shell that holds the iPad and then a flap to cover the screen, and the flap has the keyboard attached to it. So there are three standout features of the case that really jumped out at me immediately. First is the corners. These corners are padded and they're very durable. So if you are prone to dropping your iPad or you're working where you're carrying your iPad around by hand a lot, this will be a definite benefit to you. Second, I really like the way that when you have the keyboard open and attached, it kind of latches with a magnet to the bottom of the main chassis, and that causes the keyboard to be at an angle, which just contributes to that overall very, very nice typing experience that you will get with this keyboard. There are far too many iPad Pro keyboard cases that have a flat keyboard, which is just not really great for typing on for a long time. And then thirdly, there's obviously a slot on top of the case here where the Apple Pencil goes, and it attaches magnetically to the actual unit itself. But the case has a second hidden slot right here behind where the keyboard latches on that you can push the pencil into, and it's that's more like a mechanical latch rather than a magnetic latch. This just means that if you're in and out of your bag all day, you're not leaving the pencil behind, you're not going to drop it while you're walking around your office or on the street or whatever. So this is the case I think that has the best overall protection for the Apple Pencil. On the rear of the case is this sort of kickstand which props the screen up when you're using it. The central portion here swings down, and then this support portion swings in to kind of act as the prop and hold the screen open. The prop has like a magnetic latch here, and that fits into one of these three slots, giving three different viewing angles. Overall, I have mixed feelings about this whole setup. I really like the mixed viewing angles. It's nice that I can have a different setup for my screen throughout the day, and wherever I'm sitting, maybe I can optimize for that particular scenario. However, this is just fiddly. You probably saw before as I was trying to unlatch the device, it doesn't work as smoothly as possible. This is not the easiest case to just kind of whip out and start typing on because you have to fiddle with this latch, but it does have the multiple viewing angles, so it's kind of like a pro and a con. One further note on this, if you are the kind of person who likes to use your iPad on your lap a lot, I will say that this is not a great experience because of this kickstand. Because it's so narrow in the middle, it kind of ends up resting in between your legs on your lap, and that's not, in my mind, a perfect situation. A lot of other cases have a full-length base which will rest across both of your thighs. So if you're a lap user, you may want to just check whether this is going to work for you or not. So the case has this curious kind of book reading mode, they call it on the website, where you can actually detach the keyboard completely and just use it with the kind of main chassis. So if you're doing a lot of drawings or you're reading books or documents or doing markup, that might be quite nice to you. This is an absolute necessity because sadly, when you flip the keyboard behind the case, it doesn't power down, so you do get a lot of accidental key presses. This is probably my biggest gripe overall with this case, is I don't want to keep detaching the keyboard throughout the day. It's quite a fiddly process. I just want to be able to flip back and start annotating a document and not worry about pressing the space key or whatever. So if you are kind of that user who's constantly flipping backwards and forwards between drawing and keyboard use, you might find this to be quite annoying. Obviously, one way to get around this is to turn off the power of the keyboard, and that's easily done. So let's actually just talk about power right now. So as you probably infer from the fact that when you flip the keyboard back, it doesn't power down. There is actually no auto power off for this keyboard at all. Instead, there's this very easily accessible power switch here that you can slide into the on or off position, and you have to do that manually. Again, kind of mixed feelings about this. On the one hand, it's great that you can manually power the keyboard down so easily, and the switch is incredibly well designed. It's not one of those like hold this for 3 seconds and hope that it works, or maybe you'll pair with Bluetooth kind of switches. It is a proper mechanical switch that you can tell is either in the off or the on position. However, if you forget to do it and the case accidentally opens in your bag and maybe the space key gets held down, you could find you end up with no power in your keyboard after you when you really need it. Like most third-party keyboard cases, there is actually no charging directly from the smart connector on the iPad. Instead, you have to charge this using micro USB. Another minor gripe here, it's annoying that I had to do this using micro USB for a device that is USB-C. It would have been much nicer if Inateck had thrown in a USB-C connector here. However, if you have a USB-C to micro USB cable, you can actually charge the keyboard from the iPad itself, which is particularly nice. So in summary, as a coder, as a person who does a lot of typing on the iPad, I have to say this is a really great keyboard. The typing experience is far superior to any other keyboard I have used on the iPad. I am a little bit frustrated with the way the Kickstand works and that there's no auto power down. So if I was doing a lot more kind of like lap work with this and a lot more drawing and annotation that I backwards and forwards between typing, I probably would want to pick another keyboard. But this is definitely tied as my #1 keyboard with my previous favorite, which was the Logitech Slim Folio. Definite plus points for the ruggedness of the case. The corners are truly great, and I wouldn't worry too much about dropping my iPad if I had this case on. And again, just mention that cool holder for the Apple Pencil. It's a real small detail, but it's a really well thought detail that I definitely find to be very useful when I'm traveling around. So I hope that you found this review useful, and I hope it helps you when picking your keyboard for your iPad Pro. Please do hit like, do hit subscribe, and don't just hit subscribe, but hit the bell as well so you don't miss out on any future content. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.